Why am I so hot? Oh my goodness, I'm so hot. I just got out of the shower. That's probably why. Because everybody knows it's never hot in Scotland, so that's not the reason why. Oh my goodness. If my hair's a little bit damp, I apologise. It's wet. It's still wet. I half dried it and then I couldn't really be bothered. So we just gonna ignore that. And of course my fringe, it's still in my face. Because I'm trying to grow it out. I may end up touching it a lot, but anyway. So, July is officially over. I mean, it's been over for about 3 days. What is this, the 3rd of August now? So, yeah, that month escaped me completely. 100% it escaped me. I don't even know what I did in July. I didn't really do anything at all. Did I do anything? I don't even know if I did anything. I don't think I did. I'm still kind of like, even though in the UK, well, Scotland's treating like kind of lockdown, easing the lockdown a bit differently than the rest of the UK. We are a little bit different still with like our rules and regulations. We're starting to kind of ease out of lockdown. Things are starting to get back to normal, but like I feel like me and my family, we're not really, I wouldn't say we're really acting much different. I mean, my dad has got back to work. He's a painter, so he's got back to work. But like my mum and I, we've just kind of been following the same rules that we don't really go out much. We don't do things like go to cafes, or we're not really going like proper shopping. We're only going like food shopping, and even then I'm barely in the shops. We're still kind of following like the old rules, just kind of keeping our families safe because we're just still a bit kind of paranoid about the virus, the coronavirus, and picking up germs and stuff and spreading them to people, because we did have a case. Like in my small town, we had like barely any cases, so that is amazing. But there was like a case in another small town just 7 miles away, and it kind of freaks you out a little bit because it does make you a bit cautious. It makes you kind of worried. You think, oh my gosh, that one person, kind of, they got it. Where have they been? Who have they been in contact with? Have they given it to anyone else? It's still quite nerve-wracking. I'm still really cautious about everything. But anyway, that's just July. July just completely escaped me. I haven't really done much. Speaking of not doing much, I didn't do an awful lot of reading this month either. I just haven't really been in a reading mood. I don't know why. Ever since May, when I read I think I read like 14 books in May, and then afterwards, like June, I didn't read an awful lot. I read like 3 books, and then same with this month. I've just not been in a reading mood at all. I don't know what it is. Well, I partly know what it is. I touched upon this in my last video, or one of my last videos, whatever, that I've gotten back into playing World of Warcraft again. I finally got like Battle for Azeroth, and I've just been obsessively playing it constantly. I bought like a month subscription, so I've just been playing like every single day. It runs out on the 8th, and I feel like I'm gonna cancel the subscription, give myself a break, maybe get some more reading done this month, and then maybe buy it again at some point, because I'm a kind of like, I play on and off normally with it. Like I'll buy a subscription for like a month or a couple of months, and then I'll play it, and then I'll take a break, because I feel like if you just let it run over, like keep the subscription running and you're not using it, it's a bit pointless, because I like to save that coin. So anyway, so I haven't played World of Warcraft a lot more this whole month. There's probably been like 2 days where I haven't played it. I've just been playing it all the time. So that's probably the reason why I've not been reading as much, but you know, hey ho. But I read 3 books this month, properly, full on 3 books. Look at that, there they are. They're all average. So let's get into talking about them. This first book, I started it at the end of July. I was reading it a little bit. I think I was hoping I was going to get it read, but I didn't. And that is Vox by Christina... Oh, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. Dalcher? That. This is a dystopian novel, a little bit like The Handmaid's Tale. It's very much the same premise of like women have lost their rights, men are in charge. The only difference is that instead of like women being like handmaids this time and being used to have kids, women just can't speak. They're given this bracelet. Oh, there it goes. They're given like this bracelet to wear, and it's like programmed to their voice. They're only allowed to speak 100 words per day, and then once they reach that that maximum, they'll start getting a shock every time if they speak over it, and then the shocks will increasingly get worse and worse and worse. Yeah, that's not very nice. And the book is basically centered around this main character called Jean and her family. Her husband kind of works for the government, or is kind of something to do with the government. I'm not really 100% sure what. And she was like a scientist. Now, I can't even really remember what it is that she was doing. I remember talking about this in my July wrap up, I think I mentioned this book and I was kind of talking about it and saying how cautious I was of it, or how I wasn't really into it that much, and I didn't really understand the premise all that much. But now that I've read it, yeah, I kind of see what happened, because Jean is like I'll say she's some sort of scientist, and to do with kind of like linguistics, is that the word? Yeah, when like speaking. She's into that, and she was, before all this happened, she was, her and her crew, her team, were on the verge of like this breakout discovery, and whatever it was, I don't even know. Now, I don't know if it's because it's been that long since I read the book that I just don't remember, or if maybe it wasn't explained to me that well that I understood it. I do remember definitely there were a lot of scenes in this near the end where I was a bit kind of like, what's happening? Like, what is happening? There was like a scene with a monkey, and they were doing something with some guy's brain, and I was like, wait, but why are we doing this? What? And then the guy was just shot in the end, and I was like, what was the point in doing what you just did? I didn't understand it. I'm thinking about doing like a review on this, just kind of talking about how similar it is to The Handmaid's Tale, but I do feel like though, any kind of dystopian that's all to do with like an uprising and women being stripped of their rights, it's just going to be compared to The Handmaid's Tale. I don't know if Margaret Atwood did it first, but she definitely did it better than this one. I just felt like this, as a one-off, it didn't really work for me, because the whole book, Jean is basically just explaining to you what happened, how life used to be, and what life is like now. So most of the time I feel like it's a lot of world building. We get into our kind of main plot, which is the president's brother has had a skiing accident, and the guy that's in charge is Reverend Cole? Reverend somebody. He's basically the man in charge, and he's basically is kind of like, he's part of all this, and he, even though there is a president of the United States, it's set in America by the way, this guy is basically in charge, and the president's brother has some sort of accident, and I think he can't speak, and he's very important to like the president, so they bring in Jean to basically resume her old role with the work she was doing. And I remember when I talked about this before, I thought, well, that's a bit odd, because you've literally just had an uprising, or you've literally just taken over America, stripped women of their rights, told them they can't work anymore and that their job is in the home raising a family and looking after them. But now suddenly there's been like a little incident, and you want to bring back a woman scientist and give her back her role, and yeah, that to me, it was just a bit dumb. It was dumb. I thought surely they would definitely have been able to find somebody else that could have done it. I know she was on the verge of some breakout with whatever it was her research was, but I'm sure there was some other way you could have done it without involving a woman. If you're that dedicated to that idea that you have, that misogynistic attitude, I'm pretty sure you would have found somebody else to do the job for you rather than have a woman do it. Just saying. The final showdown in the end was very quick, and a lot of it we actually missed because our main character's Jean and everything. I thought it was going to be so cool. I thought she was going to be there. I thought she was going to be present when the thing happened at the end. I'm not going to spoil it. I may do a spoiler review for this, but we'll see. But I thought she was going to be there. I thought because of her work that she was doing and the way things were leading on, I thought, oh, she's going to be there. She's going to be so badass. She's gonna take down this corrupt government. But she wasn't there. She wasn't there. We didn't get to see it. She wasn't there. So we didn't get to see it, and it was a man. It was a man. I'm not going to tell you who it was, but it was a man who did the thing that saved womankind, basically. But that's great, you know, we love equality. I just feel that was a little bit of a letdown, that it was like, not only was it not our main character who saved the day, she saved a quarter of the day. She wasn't even there when it happened. So we were getting it being told to her, and I was a bit like, okay, fine. Then everything that kind of happened though in the end, it was like everybody, like we had characters throughout the book that were kind of, I'll say, taken. One girl was taken, and then because she was taken, the boy, Jean's son, who fancied her, basically decided to go looking for her. These girls were like taken to like farms or whatever. If they were like, say they were acting like sinful, they were maybe having sex when they shouldn't have been, kind of thing. They were basically if the government found out, they were basically being taken to these farms. So the way it kind of happened was a bit dumb, because her son went looking for this girl, even though it was his fault that she ended up being taken. Just saying. So if I was that girl, I would not have forgiven him. I don't know if she forgave him, but I wouldn't have, because he shopped her into the government. I'm getting off on a tangent, but basically what kind of happened was, it was like, at the end, at this end facility that they were at, all the people that kind of been like scattered or disappeared were all there. They were all there, every single one of them. Every single name of somebody who was like missing or whatever was at this facility where she was. And it was like, oh, happy days, look, here's my son, oh, here's my old college best friend. Okay, I hate those kind of like little kind of happy moments where it's like, oh, everybody's all here, yes, let's go save the world. I can't even remember what I gave this star. I don't know if I gave it a 2-star. I maybe gave it a 3. Maybe I gave it 2, because I felt like it was just quite, everything was just so flat, and then we had a bit of kind of, oh, something's happening, and then by the end I was so disappointed because, as I say, we missed out. We didn't get to see the final showdown, and that's like the best part of a book. I feel like this, if it had been worked on, maybe made into like a 2-parter or a trilogy, I don't know, I feel like dystopians, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like reading stuff like dystopians or fantasy novels as like one book, because I feel like you need time to get invested into the world. And at the end, this is a spoiler for the ending, everything went back to normal. Like nothing had ever happened. And they basically forgot all about it. And it's like, remember that time our government took away our voices and our rights? Yeah, I think the whole thing maybe lasted for a span of like a few years. And then everything just went back to normal. And that was it. The end. I think I gave this book 2 stars because of that as well. The ending was just a bit weak. It was weak! Ugh. But it did make me realise, yeah, dystopians, I feel like either they need to be a lot longer. I don't know how many pages that was, like 300 maybe. I think they need to be longer. I'd much rather have like a big, thick novel than like something that's just small and there's a lot of world building explaining to you what's going on. And then you have a little bit of stuff that's happening, and then the ending is just over before you know it. Ew. Moving on to my second book. Wow, I talked a lot about that. Moving on to my second book, this was a book that I won in a giveaway of Instagram from Books with a Pup, and that is The Cactus by Sarah Haywood. This book is about a 45-year-old woman. Her mother has just passed away, and she ends up in a legal battle with her younger brother Edward, who, now their mother she's left a will, but the will states that she wants everything split between her kids equally. However, her son, Edward, because he was living with her at the time of her death, or he's one of those kind of, our main character, Susan, has her life pretty well put together. She lives in London. She's like a woman with a plan. And whereas her brother is a bit more kind of flaky, he never really settled down, he's kind of maybe in and out of work. He's been living with his mother for the past few years, so in her will, her mother decides to do this kind of thing where it's like, I forget what it's called, but basically it gives her son the right to remain in the house for as long as he wishes, but then once he's ready to like move on, they'll split the house equally. So Susan automatically is pissed about this. She's fuming that her mum has done this, and she's pretty convinced that her mum would not do it intentionally. She thinks that her mum, she was a little bit she'd had a few strokes in later years, and she was worried that she wasn't in her right mind and that Edward had pressured her into doing this in the will. So that's kind of like the main plot, is her kind of legal battle. She's also pregnant. I will be honest, I read somewhere that somebody compared this book to Eleanor Oliphant, and after reading from the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, I can see it. Our main character is definitely a bit like Eleanor Oliphant in that sense that she's quite abrupt, very forward thinking. That's the best way I can describe it. But near the end, I definitely found that like Eleanor Oliphant, Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine if you don't know, by the way. But Eleanor Oliphant, I think, was definitely like, she was very abrupt. She was very just kind of say it as it is. Maybe doesn't really understand certain situations. But she was so lovable. There was something about her that I just loved, and I loved the way she went on. Whereas I definitely find that Susan bordered on more just being really rude. She was rude a lot of the time, and I was a bit like so that kind of got me a little bit, that I felt like it wasn't just that she was straightforward thinking or she had her own sort of way of dealing with things, I just found that she came across very rude, very stubborn, not very likable at times. There was a lot of times I felt like just hitting her over the head. I was like, what? I gave this book 3 stars because I felt like I saw the kind of, I'll call it the twist. I definitely saw it coming. Now, I don't know if I've just gotten like quite good at picking up on things. I don't know if it's just from like reading lots of mysteries and that, but I've definitely gotten quite good at picking up on things with like very limited information to go off on. I picked up on a few things and I thought, oh, is this gonna be, and then it was, and I was like, yeah, saw that coming. There was a bit of a kind of, I'll call it romance, but it wasn't really a romance. It was basically this guy who was Edward's friend, and I definitely felt like the romance aspect was very forced. I remember at one point, like, the guy said something, he made a remark about like how I really like you and I know you really like me too, something along those kind of lines, and I was like, in what world has anything our girl Susan has said to you made you think that she liked you too? Because she's been rude to you, she's been abrupt, she's dismissed a lot of things. I don't know, I just feel like she's so snooty, she was so snobby, she turned her nose up at everything, and it was like, in what world do you think our girl Susan likes you too? No, she does not, unless I am missing something here. No. So that kind of bit near the end just kind of, it threw me a bit. I guess I love that. I love books like this, especially like Eleanor Oliphant, where you feel like in any other kind of book it would be like a proper romantic love story. I love the way that our characters are so kind of, they almost like overlook it, they overlook these men in their lives that they maybe are starting to catch feelings for and they don't realise. So I feel like I do prefer that kind of love story where maybe they're just enjoying the company of like these these men, and they maybe don't realise that they're actually catching feelings for them. But in this case, I just felt like it didn't really work for me. It didn't really work. She was bad-mouthing him so much, and then by the end they wanted to play happy families, and I was like, what? But alright. I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. It was nothing special, and I predicted what happened, and it happened. But it was still pretty good. Quite a light-hearted read. Quite like easy to read. Susan as a character, average. So moving on to my last book, and that is The Fletcher by Beth O'Leary. I just read this book the other day and I really enjoyed it. Did I really enjoy it? I think I gave this 3 stars. Did I? I don't remember. I think I gave this 3 stars. I was torn between giving it 3 stars or 4 stars. I think I'm going to give it 3. The main premise of this is that there is 2 people, Leon and Tiffy. Leon lives in a flat in London, and Tiffy is currently living in her ex-boyfriend's flat. I don't really understand this. She was living in her ex-boyfriend's flat. Her ex-boyfriend wasn't there, so where was he? Alright, does he have 2 places? Like, did he move out so she could stay? But then she stayed and he was paying all the rent? I don't get it. Anyway, basically she had to leave because she was staying at her boyfriend's flat. She was needing somewhere cheap to stay, and she saw this advert for a flat share, and basically what it is that Leon was a palliative care, is that what it's called? Is it palliative care? Nurse, so he worked night shifts. So it's a 1-bedroom flat, and the whole premise is that he's going to be away the whole night, so she would have the night to herself. And he would it's perfect. He said it was like perfect for something like a 9-to-5 job, because that's when he would be in the house. He'd come in from work, he'd be in there from like 9 to 5, and then he'd be away out for work again by the time they came home. So that was great. I could see how it worked. And also at weekends he was away, and he also planned it so that he would be away at weekends. So that is great. Which I thought was strange though. I thought, well, how is he not working weekends ever? If he's a palliative care nurse and he's working night shifts, are they not normally there? Like, I mean, I don't know how it works. I do not know how any of this works, like shift work at these kind of jobs, but I thought it was a bit strange that he got every single weekend off, and he obviously worked Monday to Friday. Like, I didn't think that would be like a thing with like care homes, palliative care places, hospitals. I just assumed that, you know, it's kind of like, it's all shift work. Some day you're working night, some day you're working through the day. I didn't think they were so lenient that way. So I didn't really understand that. I thought, how's he always getting weekends off? Because it's not like it's any other 9-to-5 job, or, well, no, it's not even 9 to 5 because it's at night, but 5 to 9 job. I thought it was a bit odd that he never worked weekends. And I thought, well, it's not like it's people at care homes, etc., in the hospital, in the medical profession. Palliative care, is that like one of the, I think it's one of those places where, yeah, it's kind of like, it's like a hospice. It was a hospice. They don't like shut at weekends. You need somebody there all the time. So why did he never ever get to work weekends? Whoever worked with him must have hated him, because I'd have hated that if I knew somebody that didn't work weekends ever. So that was a bit odd that he didn't ever work Saturdays and Sundays. But oh well. We'll let it go. We'll let it go. She takes the ad for this flat share. And another thing I thought was a bit dumb was the fact that obviously they're going to be like sharing the same bed, but like they're never ever going to be in the same bed at the same time. I thought, you know, to be honest, if he was that serious about this flat share, why couldn't you have gotten rid of your double bed and put in 2 single beds into the room? Just saying. Bunk beds. Would have made this so much easier. Then you're never sleeping in the same bed. Because I don't think I could sleep in a bed that a stranger has just been in the night before, or hours before me. I think Tiffy did used to change the sheets before she she made a remark that she used to change the sheets before she used them. But then she got out of the habit of doing that, and I was like, no! You don't know who this is. You don't know who this man is. I don't even think I could live with somebody and not know, because they never meet. They never meet to begin with. And because that's the whole point, is that they don't meet. I thought to myself, that's so odd, because you would meet the person you are technically sharing a flat with. Because they're in amongst your stuff. They could be, you don't know what kind of creep this man is. So that to me was definite red flags. But anyway, we carried on. Tiffy worked for a publishing company. They publish like DIY books. She's having a bit of trouble with her ex-boyfriend. He's basically kind of stalking her. It was a bit tame, to be honest. Maybe, I'm not saying stalking of any kind is not right. It is terrible. But this is a fictional story, so I'm allowed to bash it a little bit. I thought it was quite tame. I just felt like I've read so many suspenseful thrillers these days that I feel like stalking creepy exes. Yeah, listen, we all know Joel from You. We've seen the power that these stalkers can go to, the lengths they will go to stalk their victims, their exes. Well, he didn't really stalk his ex, did he? No. He stalked his potential girlfriend. So I felt like it was a little bit tame. I felt like it could have gone a bit further, and by the end it didn't really come to much. It was a bit boring. But obviously in real life, not condoning it, stalking is terrible, and if you have a stalker, go to the police, even though they probably won't do anything, because they didn't really do anything for Tiffy in this case. But anyway, Leon as well has a brother that's in prison. He's been wrongfully accused of a crime. So that was fine. I liked the beginning of this book. I liked that like Leon and Tiffy, they communicated through post-it notes. One thing I did think was a bit daft though is the fact that, did that even make sense? One thing I did think was a bit daft though was the fact that they're supposed to be communicating through post-it notes, and then the length of text that they would, like, Tiffy would write, I was like, that ain't a post-it note, girl. That's a full-on letter, that is. I know sometimes they did say that they did use actual notes and not post-it notes, but the amount of times it said post-it notes and I would read the note and I'd be like, yo, that's a lot of text to put on one little post-it note. No, you didn't. So they communicate a lot through post-it notes. They sometimes texted, but not much. So that was cute. I felt like they were getting to know each other. Oh, she did look him up on Facebook, so she sort of knew what he looked like. Okay, yeah. But even still, looks can be deceiving. So they did communicate a lot through like post-it notes and stuff. And then about kind of a quarter of the way into it, about like the 100-page mark, they met. They accidentally, she overslept, he came in from work, he was in the shower, she was going to have a shower. They met, and that was it. I was like, oh. And then it became a love story, and I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? It became a love story between these two characters. And I was like, this is not the content I signed up for. Let me read them back to you. I haven't been reading the back to you of these books, but I think I've been doing a pretty good job of summarizing them. Their friends think they're crazy, but it's the perfect solution. Leon occupies the one-bed flat while Tiffy's at work in the day, and she is the run of the place the rest of the time. But with obsessive ex-boyfriends, wrongly imprisoned brothers, and of course, the fact that they still haven't met yet, it seems this flat share is more complicated than expected. Where's the love? Where's the romance? Where? This is not the content I signed up for. No. I thought this was gonna be some sort of like cutesy little comedy style type thing where they were interacting through notes, and then maybe stuff keeps happening that they keep intending to meet up but it never happens, and maybe they don't meet each other till the end. I thought that would have been great. Somebody rewrite this book and have it so the characters don't meet till the end, and then it's all lovely, because they could have been like, hi, I'm Leon, hi, I'm Tiffy, and it's like, wow, it's nice to finally meet you. The end, case closed, we're done. They met each other within like about 100 pages, and from there onwards it just became them talking about each other, how much they fancy each other. And then it was annoying because then both characters would say, oh, and I don't even really know if he likes me, or I don't know if she even likes me. And it's like, well, I know she likes you, I know he likes you, because they're telling me all the goddamn time. Honest to God. So yeah, things keep happening, little things keep happening throughout the novel. They've met, he's up to shenanigans, she's up to shenanigans. They try to sleep together several times, doesn't happen because things keep getting in the way. Oh, and the amount of times he had to carry her, I thought it was so cringy. She like twisted her ankle when they were at the beach, and he had to carry her all the way to this bed and breakfast, and I was like, oh no. I actually thought she was going to end up getting with his brother, because, now this is the one thing. Let me see if I could find it. How am I ever going to find it though? Basically, his brother is in prison. Okay? Okay, his brother's in prison for a crime he didn't commit. And I think he's in the middle of getting a, oh, okay. Yep, found it. He's in the middle of, or he's due like to get an appeal. He's due to be getting an appeal soon. So basically, at one point, he always calls the flat. He always calls the flat on the landline because, I don't know, he can't call mobiles or something. I don't know. And one day he calls when Tiffy's in, and obviously Richie knows about Tiffy because Leon's told him. Like, they're literally just saying like, hello, oh hey, I'm Tiffy, Leon's flatmate. He's the brother. And then they chat for a bit. She says you could try him on his mobile. He says can't do that. And she's like, oh, how come? He says a long story, but he says, short version is, I'm in a high security prison and the only phone number I've managed to get set up for me to call is Leon's home line. They chat for a little minute. She's just such a quirky character. I'm not very good with quirky characters. They sometimes get in my head a little bit, the way that they just say these random things. He says, are you going to ask me what I'm in for, Tiffy? She says, no. Do you want to tell me? He says, yeah, I bet, but normally people ask. And I'm like, why do you want to tell her? Why do you want to tell her what you're in prison for? Probably because he's been wrongfully imprisoned. That's probably why he wants to tell her, because he'll want to clear his name. And she says, it's not my place to judge. You're Leon's brother and you're wrong to talk to him. And anyway, we were talking about how horrible prison is, and that's true regardless of what you did. Everyone knows prison doesn't work, right? He then says, I'm in for armed robbery, but I didn't do it. She says, God, I'm sorry, this is really shit then. He says, pretty much, yeah. He waits, and then he asks, do you believe me? And she says, I don't even know you, why does it matter? And he says, I don't know, it just does. And she says, well, I need some of the facts before I say I believe you. It wouldn't mean much otherwise, would it? And he says, that's my message for Leon then. Tell him I'd like him to give you the facts so you can tell me if you believe me. This was so cringy. But anyway, okay. You've literally just met this woman. You've not even met her, you're just talking on the phone. Within like a couple of minutes of her just kind of being like, hi, I'm Leon's flatmate. Yeah, can you kind of miss mobile, blah, 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 just chatting. You're suddenly like, do you want to know what I'm in for? And he tells her. He's like, but I didn't do it. But do you believe me though? And it's like, I want Leon to tell you all the facts just so that you know I didn't do it. And I'm like, what? We have just met. We've not even met. We're talking on the phone. We have just spoken to each other for the first time ever. I don't even know who you are. And you want me to believe you? He even made a comment at one point saying about how important she was to Leon. I was like, important? Important? They haven't even met yet though. How is she important to him? I'm getting off into a tangent with this book now. But honestly, there were a few things with that book that I didn't really like. like characters talking so much, like in terms of, I just hate in books when characters speak with such long dialogue and they basically tell people their life story within a second of meeting each other, and I'm like, in real life that does not happen. That does not happen. It's like when people first meet for the first time and it's like they basically give their whole life story within the first second. And I feel like maybe that works in some novels just to kind of introduce characters to you and get the ball rolling. But it's a bit unbelievable and I'm just kind of staring at it like, alright. Okay. So there's that as well. The way that the characters kind of spoke sometimes I felt was just a bit cringy, a bit kind of oversharing. I digress. But it was a not bad book. I think the hype definitely got to me and that's why I bought it and read it. But I mean, it was okay. It was still okay. I don't regret buying it or reading it or anything. It was fine. It was quite, I read it fairly quickly because it was quite an easy read. I also felt though, like in some ways it was actually a little bit dull. Like there wasn't an awful lot happened. I guess sometimes contemporaries like that it turned out it was actually a romance, even though that was not what it was sold to me. I definitely feel like it lacked a little bit. I guess maybe the fact that it was like there was going to be a crazy ex. I thought things were going to be a bit more dramatic than they actually were. It was a little bit kind of unbelievable at some points. It was just a little bit, it was quite tame. Like at the end all it was that he came around to the house and he was banging on the door repeatedly and they called the police and the police came and took him away and that was it. That was it. Everything else was like a little bit more kind of coincidental in the way that things kind of happened, and it was like, oh, I don't know. I feel like as a movie that would be pretty perfect, like a kind of rom-com movie with all the different way the characters were all intertwined and the way things kind of just, I could totally imagine that as like a rom-com movie with the serious aspect with the wrongly imprisoned brother and all the different things. Even at one point, yeah, something that kind of happened I felt like just happened for like the sake of drama, which was dumb. And the way Leon reacted was dumb. And if I was Tiffy, I'd have been pissed at him. I think like the unnecessary drama, I hate that now. It's like when you have a dull book, it's quite dull and nothing's really happening much. And then they throw in a little bit of drama and I feel like it wasn't that interesting, or it wasn't so much like a great sucker punch moment. It was just a bit kind of like, okay. And then the characters kind of overreacted to it and I was a bit like, it was just, I don't know, that was, yeah, so I'm getting off into a tangent. This video was already 40 minutes long. Those are my 3 books that I read this month. I didn't read an awful lot. I'm gonna try and do better in August, I promise. I'm gonna do better. Wait and see. I'll have read double, triple, quadruple. Great. I definitely kind of recommend, not so much this one, but I do recommend these books just for kind of some light-hearted fun reading if you're into like little contemporary romances. Maybe not so much the Cactus either, because that wasn't really a romance, that was just a, I don't even know what that was. Those are my 3 books I read. I also started reading Emma on ebook. I didn't get that far into it though. Don't tell my classical book club, but I didn't get that far into it. So that's what I read in July. I'll try and do better next time. Next month. This month. I've already started a book though. I've already started one, so we're doing great. We're doing great. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's a bit all over the place. I got a bit ranty near the end. I don't know if I'll do reviews on any of these books, to be honest. I kind of talked about a lot of things there, so I guess it's not, I guess I don't really need to now, but I could. I might. I could do like an in-depth review of this one because it was honestly just funny now looking back. My hair's starting to, oh, it's still wet under there. I dried like the front. Bye! How the queen waves? I don't know. Bye!